Good morning, second grade. I hope you had a wonderful night's rest and you're ready to hit the ground running with another hard day of work today. Let's start with a little bit of review and then we'll talk about a couple of things you're doing new, all right? Now, first thing, let's review when you round to the tens place. Talked about that yesterday's lesson. Remember, when you round to the tens place, your ones place has to be a 0, okay? Has to be a 0 when you're rounding to the tens place. All right, now let's move on to what you're doing today. On today's work on page 279 in your arithmetic, section number 4, you're going to be working with that rounding a little bit there. You're going to round the numbers to the tens place that are rounded to the tens place. You're going to color those numbers green. Other numbers, whether it's 15, 18, 89, whatever it may be, you're going to color those black, and you'll come up with a secret creature whenever you color all those correctly. All right, now let's move on to what you're working on new for today. It's kind of carrying on the same idea of rounding to the nearest 10. So you'll notice they have a chart for you there of like a truck that's going up a hill, and then it's going to go down the other side, okay? You see the numbers underneath that? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 at the top of the hill, then it starts down. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, let's look at what it says on that page. It says the numbers 11 through 14, so that's 11, 12, 13, 14, those are closer to the number 10. So if we're rounding to the nearest 10, that would mean that it would round back to 10. For instance, if I had the number 13, well, 13 is closer to 10. Therefore, if I were rounding 13, I would say when you round 13, your answer is 10. Okay? Now, what about on the other side of the hill? Numbers 16, 17, 18, and 19 are heading down that hill. Those numbers are closer to 20, so therefore you would round up to that 10, to 20, okay? Now look, at number 15, this is a tricky one. Make sure you pay attention, okay? So the number 15 is right smack in the middle. 15 is in the middle. You go ahead and you always round that up, okay? So 15 would round up to 20. So 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, all of those would round to 20, okay? Now, and of course, you can change any of these numbers. That could be the numbers 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and then down the hill 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. You'd work the same way, okay? But when you round to the nearest 10, if it's numbers 1 through 4 in your ones place, like you see right here, if the ones place is 4, 3, 2, or 1, round back. For instance, if I had the number 34 and I were rounding back, what would be the nearest 10 to 34? We'll give you a minute to think about it. If you said 30, you're right. Now, what if you look at it this way? If the ones place is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you round up. So if I have, for instance, the number 36, what would 36 round to? Remember, if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you round up. So 36 would round to 40. Okay, so that's kind of an idea of how that's going to work for you there. And then number 1 on page 280, you'll be coloring the numbers, really the flamingos. Color the flamingos pink that round to 30. So if it ends in a 4, 3, 2, or 1, or a 0, then you'll color those pink and color the other ones blue that round up to 40. All right, now let's move on to the next subject here. I want to mention a couple things. Phonics and language, okay? In phonics and language, page 277, you'll be working with sentences. Now, remember, if it's a complete sentence, it has to have a what? Complete sentence has to have 2 things, subject and a verb. If you don't have a verb, if there's no action word in that sentence, then you don't have a complete sentence. You've just got a phrase, a group of words, okay? So make sure you're careful working on that section. Section 2, there's another section we're dealing with the kind of sentences. So I put this up here like I did last week to kind of remind you a little bit. Declarative sentences make a statement and they end in a period, okay? Interrogative sentences ask a question, therefore they end in a question mark. Exclamatory sentences show excitement or strong feeling, they end in an exclamation point. All right? Now, with your reading, you have let me get my paper over here. According to your directions that you should have in front of you there, you will have a comprehension sheet, number 22. Notice I told you, don't worry about doing the red crayon or the blue crayon part at the bottom of the front of that page. Don't worry about that. When you're finished with answering all the questions for that comprehension sheet, go ahead and color the page on both sides for me. I want to see what kind of artistic skills you've got. I know we've got some good artists. All right? And in your spelling, you're going over your list. Writing with phonics, you're giving me another story today. This one is in your book. It's page 142, and I ask you to use good adjectives. Most of you should still have those papers with the awesome adjectives. That'll help you out, okay? All right, and that will be 5 sentences. Now, one other quick thing I want to mention to you today. I have had a Bible verse on my mind the last couple of days, and I wanted to share it with you. So, let me get things set down here. And it is Psalm 118, verse 24. Second graders, you know this verse because you know it in the form of a song. It says, "This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Now, that verse has been on my mind, and the reason it's been on my mind is because lots of times, especially nowadays where we're stuck at home a lot and there's not a whole lot to do and things of that nature, we may tend to sit around and say, well, what's there to be happy about? I know I find myself doing that sometimes, but you know what? We can be happy, we can be full of joy, we can rejoice because God is in control. We may not understand everything that goes on in our life, and you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's all right that we don't understand because God does. And that's what truly matters. That's what can give us peace, and that's what can give us joy in everything we do, because even though we may not understand everything, we know that our God is mighty, He is strong, He is powerful. There is nothing that our God cannot do, and He is in charge. And even though we may not understand why He's doing what He's doing, He has a plan. And one day we'll see it. So I would encourage you to rejoice in this day and be glad in it. And second graders, maybe you could even sing that song for your mom and dad, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again, I say rejoice. Or you could sing, "This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Either way, I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I've said at the end of all the other videos, remember, Miss Curtis loves you.